Yellow Dot is a program that began in Etowah County in 2009, and since that time, we have, through our Law Enforcement and Traffic Safety Division at ADECA, we have been able to fund the Yellow Dots across our state with about $500,000, a little over $500,000 worth of funding. And Yellow Dot is quite simply a program that a citizen signs up. It's a locally driven program, but a citizen signs up. They have this yellow dot that is on the back end of their car or motorcycle. They have some miniature yellow dots for motorcycles. And basically, they have their medical information. So if there's an automobile accident, the EMT that's responding sees the yellow dot, knows to go to the location in the car, the glove box, and it says that the person is on whatever type of medication they're on. So they know, Senator Beasley, being a good pharmacist, knows a lot better, and the governor, being a doctor, knows certainly a lot better than I do, that medications mixing are dangerous. And so that's basically, it's a life safety issue for citizens across Alabama. It really started as an idea and a plan for elderly citizens, but has really grown into an idea that's good for all citizens across our state. So what we're here to do is we're here to celebrate, because Bullock County is Alabama's 67th county that will join the Yellow Dot program. And you see this map over here, all yellow except for one county, and we're going to have the pleasure in a little while of coloring that county in. I'm really excited to introduce our governor. Alabama's 53rd Chief Executive is a strong supporter of Let's programming, and I am glad that he was able to work it in his schedule to help commit Bullock County as Alabama's 67th county and final county as a Yellow Dot program. So join me in welcoming Governor Bentley.
Well, good morning, everybody. As Jim just said, Senator Beasley is a great pharmacist, and I've been a physician for many years, and we know the importance of emergency situations. I have had the privilege as a physician over the years to work in many emergency rooms and to cover emergency rooms, especially during my career in the military and internship and residency, and I saw a lot of patients. And many times we were unable to talk to them, to converse with them, because of the medical situation that they were in at that time. And to know exactly what they were on, what medicines they were on, was very important to us. We had to get a good medical history, and sometimes that's difficult, especially in times of accidents. It's an honor to be here with you today to announce this very special highway program that is now available to all Alabama counties. The program can help us save lives, especially during that critical first hour or so when saving lives is probably the easiest because there's obviously less problems with shock that so many of them go into when the blood pressure drops. And so just the accidents, and that first hour is important. So knowing what medications a patient is on is very important. This yellow dot, very simple, but it's very effective. It's life-saving. And by placing, as Jim just said, this yellow dot on the back of your vehicle, first responders who, by the way, our first responders in Alabama do a fantastic job, and I want to brag on our first responders. Our volunteer fire people who are trained, our other EMT people across the state who have had great training, they do a great job, and they know what this means. And they know when they see this yellow dot that they are to look in the glove compartment and find what medications these patients may be on. Starting in 2009, that's not 5 years ago, I had to subtract. With this new math, it's a little bit hard sometimes. But with the addition now of Bullock County, well, it's, I guess it's okay to be the last, isn't it? Sometimes. But you know what? When you're the last, there's a lot of emphasis placed on you. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's always a good thing. You know, I believe in making lemonade out of lemons. So being the last means that we put a lot of emphasis on Bullock County. But this will be the 67th county. And I'm honored to have our local officials with us here today from Bullock County, Mayor of Union Springs, and my good friend, Representative Fort. It's good to have you, and certainly my very close friend that I sat by in the legislature for many, many years, Senator Billy Beasley. It's good to have y'all with us today, and we're going to get y'all to help us come up and color in the dot here also in a few minutes. Now, our team at ADECA has done a fantastic job. You know, we've really done a lot of things as far as law enforcement through ADECA. I mean, this is not necessarily law enforcement, but it's part of that. ADECA does a very good job, and I appreciate all the efforts that have taken place with ADECA. Laura Weaver, with our Yellow Dot program, she's our coordinator, and she's worked hard to bring this service to every resident in the state of Alabama. So I'm honored to be here with you today, and anybody who, well, actually everybody ought to have one then, shouldn't they? Every car ought to be decorated with a yellow dot. And so we're going to color this in just a second, and so now I'll get Jim to come back up and introduce Laura.
Thank you, Governor. You know, as the Governor discussed, this is really a state and local partnership. It's local leadership and state partnership. And we really needed a champion, and Laura Weaver is that champion. She is from the Northeast Alabama Highway Safety Office in Gadsden. We have Carlos back there from the Highway Safety Office here. This, again, local leadership and state partnership. Back in 2008, 2009, Laura read about this program in Connecticut, and she has been the champion who has gone from city to city and county to county promoting Yellow Dot. She's the one that came to ADECA and said, we need Yellow Dot. So it gives me great pleasure, I call her the Queen of Yellow Dot, to introduce Alabama's Queen of Yellow Dot, Laura Weaver.
Thank you, Director Byard, and thank you, Governor, for all of your support and for allowing us to hold today's festivities here at the state capitol. Yellow Dot is a program designed to aid emergency responders by providing vital medical information following a motor vehicle crash, which will expedite emergency care and provide Alabama citizens with the best possible chance of surviving their injuries. When an individual participates in Yellow Dot, as was mentioned earlier, they will receive this Yellow Dot decal that will go on the back of the vehicle on the bottom left corner of the back windshield. This is what emergency responders have been trained to look for when they arrive on either the scene of a vehicle crash or some other medical emergency involving the vehicle. Once they go up to the vehicle, if for some reason that individual is unable to communicate with them, they can go to the glove compartment for this corresponding Yellow Dot folder. Once they open it up, they're going to see an identifying photograph, which is extremely important. That allows them to know that they are going to be using the information for that individual and not someone else. Once they get the medical information sheet out, they've got their name. So if the purse is not in the car, if they can't get to the individual's wallet, they will know who this person is. Once they open it up, they're going to have emergency contact information, what medications the individual is on, what they're allergic to, what their medical conditions are, and any recent surgeries. And then on the back is a place for that individual's name, age, address, and phone number. We do not ask for a birth date or a social security number because we do not want to put anyone in danger of identity theft. So we do not ask for that information. There's also a place for two physicians on the bottom. If it's a married couple or a parent and child, they can both go in a folder together. If there are additional individuals for the vehicle, we'll give them additional folders to accommodate. We will give them one folder or a packet just like this for each mode of transportation that they have, whether it's an RV or a boat even, or a motorcycle. We have this, I know that Director Byard mentioned this Yellow Dot decal for the motorcycle. This is what it looks like. It goes in the bottom left corner of the license plate of the motorcycle. Yellow Dot is being offered free in the state of Alabama because of funding provided by the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs and is available to anyone in our state that would like to participate. Yellow Dot began as a pilot program in Etowah County in 2009, and even though we envisioned it as a statewide program from its inception, it is humbling to know that now citizens in all of Alabama's 67 counties will have access to this life-saving program. We would like to thank Mayor Thomas of Union Springs, Mayor Whittington of Midway, Sheriff Rogers, and also Chief Jackson of Union Springs Police Department, and all of the emergency responders of Bullitt County for their desire to provide this service to the citizens of their county and for allowing Alabama to now have 100% participation in the program. Yellow Dot would not have become a statewide reality had it not been for the support of ADECA Director Jim Byard and ADECA staff members Bill Babington, Bill Watley, Linda Florin, Terry Henderson, Mike Presley, and Josh Carpels, as well as the 9 Governor's Highway Safety offices throughout the state. I would like to thank all of the emergency responders and government officials across our state that saw Yellow Dot as a valuable service to provide to the residents of their counties. As the program spread across our state, we saw many milestones along the way. Alabama was the first state in the nation to develop a decal specifically for motorcycles. And because of our county-by-county approach and the support of our local media, we caught the attention of USA Today and other national publications. This exposure allowed us the opportunity to assist states across the nation as they sought to develop a Yellow Dot program for their state. Since that time, the states of Illinois, New York, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and others have developed a statewide Yellow Dot program. It is gratifying to know that because of our efforts in the state of Alabama, lives are being saved through Yellow Dot in many states across the nation. In 2012, we were honored to be a recipient of one of that year's Governor's Highway Safety Association Awards. And in August of 2014, Autauga County School System became the first in the state and the nation to place Yellow Dots on all of their school buses, enabling emergency responders to have access to information for bus drivers. I am proud to announce that there are many school systems across the state that have made the decision to follow Autauga County's lead to add Yellow Dots to their bus fleets as well. And even though Bullitt County was the last county to adopt Yellow Dot, they will be the second county to place Yellow Dots on their school buses. At this time, it is my honor to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Bethany Chancellor. On February 2nd of 2013, her family was involved in a head-on collision with a drunk driver, a crash that took her husband's life and left her life and the lives of her 2 young sons forever changed. I would like to thank her for her willingness to share her story with us today. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Bethany Chancellor.
I'm a little nervous, so bear with me. As Laura said, my name is Beth Chancellor, and I've been asked to share my family's story and how we could have benefited with Yellow Dot approximately 2 years ago. At that time, we were an average family. My husband and I had met as teenagers, but we didn't begin dating until years later. We had 2 sons who were 7 and 14 months at that time. We lived modestly and loved our simple little life together. He worked hard in construction, and I was a social worker for our local DHR. Our older son played youth league sports, and we couldn't wait for our younger son to get old enough to do so. We weren't obsessed with safety, but took precautions, especially when it came to our kids. Overall, I considered us a fairly safe family, but we weren't preoccupied with preparing for emergencies. Not too long after our younger son was born, my mom suggested that I program her along with other immediate family members in my cell phone as ICE. I didn't know what that meant, but she explained that was for in case of emergency. Both my husband and I had done that. We felt like that was being proactively safe. A little silly and unnecessary, I thought at the time, but safe. Also, we hadn't been out socially since learning I was pregnant with our younger son in April 2011. However, on February 2nd, 2013, we decided to go have dinner with friends. They have a little girl, and so we wanted to let our kids play together. And so we did that. I'm told we had a very good time that evening and stayed later than intended because the kids were having so much fun. But I don't have any memory of that evening because on our way home, which was only about a 20-minute drive from our friend's house, we were hit head-on by a drunk driver. My husband, Mike, was killed instantly. I was unconscious, critically injured, and wasn't expected to survive the transport to the hospital. Our older son, Peyton, was barely conscious and also critically injured. Lawson, who was our younger son, was only 14 months at the time, and he was unable to communicate. He was found screaming, his car seat the only thing saving him from major injury. My cell phone battery had went out earlier that evening, and my husband had forgotten his cell phone at home, so our in case of emergency contacts weren't available to responders. We weren't well known or high society, high profile people, and weren't immediately recognizable due to injury. In fact, first on the scene was a guy with whom I graduated high school. He didn't know I was me until much later when he saw my driver's license passed around. Emergency responders, most importantly my children, needed someone to meet them at the hospital to make critical medical decisions. DHR was contacted and sent some of my coworkers to Children's to wait with my little ones because the hospital couldn't treat or admit my children without a responsible party. My director was able to connect emergency responders to my family only because I worked there and she knew I had family in the area. Had I not been an employee of DHR, it could have taken much longer to identify and notify relatives, leaving my children wards of the state and waking up injured and scared in a hospital surrounded by strangers. Yellow Dot is a program that can prevent some similar scenario from happening to you or your children and is simple and easy to register for. Your family's information isn't stored in some distant computer system for anyone to be able to access, but it's only handwritten on a card which you keep in your vehicle. A yellow dot on your rear windshield alerts emergency personnel that you have this information available. In response to my family's tragedy, I definitely tell others not to drink and drive and want to share that message today as well. Please, please, please don't drink and drive or allow others an opportunity to do so. However, I understand that there's no way to force others, whether it's family, acquaintances, or perfect strangers, to make good, safe decisions. The drunk driver who hit us didn't set out to hurt my family that night. He just didn't care if he did hurt us or any of you or anyone else. And unfortunately, some drunks will continue to drive, and other situations may arise where an accident happens due to some unforeseen or unpreventable circumstance. I hope it is never needed, but I urge everyone to consider Yellow Dot as a way to ensure that family members are notified immediately should the need arise. Now, especially with a child who suffers ongoing medical issues as a result of our accident, Yellow Dot can provide necessary information if ever I cannot. So again, I want to urge everyone to please participate in this program in order to protect your families. And also, please don't drink and drive.
Thank you, Beth. That is, no other words need to be said. That's a powerful testimony about the importance of this Yellow Dot program. Our final person that I want to introduce this morning is Union Springs Mayor St. Thomas. And I'll tell you what you need to know about Mayor Thomas in just a quick sentence. Laura came by, saw him, rolled out her map, Bullock County was the only county not colored yellow. He didn't ask how much it cost, when can we do it, how can we do it. He said, we got to change that. We got to have Bullock County colored yellow. So I'm going to invite Mayor St. Thomas to come to the podium, and when he's finished, the governor and Beth and Laura and I and the mayor and Senator Beasley and Representative Ford are going to go over there, and we're going to color Bullock County yellow, so it will be our 67th county. Mayor?
It is true that when I saw this map, message gets around, that I was upset because we were the only county in the state of Alabama that was in the black, and everybody else was going along with the Yellow Dot program. Immediately when the chief of police, Danny Jackson, sitting right there, brought that idea to us, I said, we are going to jump on this right away, and that we did. We began to make contact with all the other officials in the county and decided that we were going to move forward with this program, because it is not about us, it's about the service that we could render to somebody else, even though we might be a recipient of that program. Governor has said that we are receiving the benefits because we are the last, but Etowah County is getting, and all the other counties should receive the same type of attention, even though we stand here for them, as we are receiving right now. We want to thank Laura for guiding us through this process and making sure that we are represented